Raindrops keep falling on my head.
We are here not in Casini Ranch. We're here at the San Benito RV Park and Campground, but we're here to talk to you about our experience at Casini Ranch.
Yeah, we left there about a week and a half ago.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were there for 2 nights.
There for 2 nights, and then we drove back home, and we've just started our 30-day adventure.
Driving in to Casini Ranch was fairly easy. It was kind of a fun drive. It was scenic.
Yeah.
So we started in Petaluma, where our home base is, as we call it, at my mom's house. And we headed north on 101, and we got off at River Road. And then we just headed west on River Road for quite a while. We went through the town of Guerneville, which is where, say the famed, maybe the infamous, Bohemian Grove is. We checked in at the general store. It was quick and easy. They were really friendly. And then when we pulled into our site, we noticed after a quick little walk that we were one of 5 other RVs, I think.
It was very empty, and it seemed like we were the only campers who were stopping in just for a couple of days. The majority of the campers that were there were in the full hookup sites with the sewer, and they were there the entire time we were. Someone had even set up a huge big tent with Christmas decorations. I'd highly recommend Site 89, that was our site, because it seemed quite remote in that you didn't have a lot of close neighbors. You weren't right on the main drag there, but it was plenty close to bathrooms and the river bend and all the main things.
Well, how about the most important thing?
What's the most important thing?
The Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, Site 89 has a Wi-Fi hotspot, or I guess router, right next to it, so it's really strong. So the weather at Casini Ranch was quite pleasant while we were there. It was maybe 50s during the day, and it was probably around freezing at night, around 32 Fahrenheit for all of our international
literal
family.
Freezing.
Yeah, so in the morning when I went out to make bacon, I was like all bundled up and my hands were freezing. Now, I looked at the truck, and on the back of our tonneau cover on our F-150, there's like a thick layer of ice. And when the sun hit it, it just started kind of steaming and turning to mist and evaporating. That was pretty cool.
We were also kind of worried about our water hose freezing, because I woke up and it had clearly been 32 or below overnight. And I was like, oh no, like, have we broken our pipes? Or, have we frozen the water line? Like, what's going on? Have we destroyed anything? But after some research, it seems like unless you are camping in under 20 degrees for longer periods of time, then you need to worry about it. But if we're just hitting 32 degrees for an hour or two, then we would be fine.
Yeah. And then on our first morning, but we decided to take Molly, our kitty cat, for a little walk.
Her first walk, really.
Yeah. First real walk.
Yeah.
On a harness and a leash. So we took her down to the river. Casini Ranch Family Campground is set right on the Russian River, and it's set on this kind of peninsula. The river kind of bends around the campground. So anyway, we went down to like the rocky beach with Molly, and there was kind of a group of vultures down there. And we took Molly, and we were kind of sneaking up on the vultures, and I was saying stalking the vultures, but...
Stalking the vultures. And Molly was a bit timid, but she
did pretty well. She did better than I expected.
Yeah. She got more and more courageous as we went along, and even walking her after that first time, it's been getting easier and easier for her to be confident.
Yeah.
To be happy.
Yes. We're stalking the vultures. on the log.
What's going on?
Trying to work this big burr out of her tummy that she got.
Oh no. Miley, what happened? How do you feel about your first adventure walk? Little Miss Muddy Paws. Oh my god!
Big old burr in the tummy fur.
Oh, that is a big cow. Oh my goodness.
It's quite the heifer.
Just chilling. So we've seen ducks and geese and cows and horses and vultures this morning.
Ollie sure got a kick out of the vultures. I mean, they were bigger than she was.
She was only mildly terrified. They tend to be mad.
And then later in the day, we went on a hike. We pulled up our All Trails app. Highly recommended. It's like a free app for looking at hiking trails where people can submit reviews and information, like where to park and whatnot. And so we noticed there was this one walk called, I think it was Islands in the Sky Loop. Something, yeah.
And then the full Monty.
The full Monty was like a little
another one.
offshoot that we took and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, it was a cool hike. It was very steep, little dark, and so it seemed like it was persistently wet and muddy.
Yeah.
And we left a little bit late, so the whole time I was kind of concerned about timing. I kept checking my watch and saying, "All right, Catherine, we got to turn around in this many miles or in this many minutes," just because I really didn't want to get stuck walking back through the dark trees after sunset.
Well, I feel like we learned some important lessons, like take photos of the trails ahead of time and make sure you know where you're going, the names of all of the trails, as well as, you know, having a backpack with a compass and a little first aid kit.
A flashlight.
A flashlight.
Well, it's a good point because when we left and we were hiking, you know, there was no internet. So we looked at our All Trails app and checked out the trail guide and everything before we left. And then once we were on the hike, we couldn't load the app. We couldn't pull up our map. We had no idea where we were, how far it was until, you know, this beautiful vista point and whatnot. So on the hike, we encountered a couple other hikers who, I guess, did the full loop and went to this beautiful vista point. And they said from the point you can see the Pacific Ocean, you can see the Russian River, you can see this really big valley with a meadow down below. So it sounded kind of spectacular. We didn't quite make it all the way out there, but we still went pretty high and went to like the top of the mountain, more or less.
It was a great hike. I mean, we were certainly sweating at the end and getting a little jelly-legged at the end, and we're happy to come back home when we did.
It was good. We were breaking into New Keens. So
Yeah!
So the last thing we did before we left was we dumped our RV. We pulled into the dump site after checking out of the campground, or out of the campsite, and hooked up and dumped, and it was okay. The experience was interesting.
There was not a secure seal, and when you have sewer water coming out of your RV and going into a tank, you want a completely airtight seal, and we did not have that. So you don't want to touch it with your hands and hold it.
So it was a little. It could have been a little messy.
Yeah.
I could see a lot of people might have what they call a poopsie at this dump site, but we figured it out, and it was together through the power of teamwork.
Yay!
Well,
teamwork, and you probably see in the video I'm just standing at the side of the RV for the majority of it.
Yeah, you're just kind of hanging out, watching me work.
Yeah.
But hey, you know what's new.
Yeah, and I mean that time was not our first attempt at dumping when we first got our rig in Pismo Beach, we actually videotaped a whole dump video, but we bought this Y thing. In any case, the setup that we had was not a great idea at all.
It didn't work out. The video would
No.
have showed how little we knew about it, and would have been kind of embarrassing. So maybe I'll put a clip or two in here. But
Yeah.
that was it's like trying to take all these new pieces of like a toy and trying to fit them together, and not really knowing how it works.
Yeah.
And there being no clear instructions.
Simpler is better. We got a little excited and said, oh, we can attach all the sewer hookups at one time and it'll be so easy. And that just, it was way too difficult. Nothing was working the way we envisioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's about it. That's our time at Casini Family Ranch Campground. I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful campground. There's tent camping, and they've got a bunch of RVs that are just there in different sites that you can rent if you ever want to just try out what it's like to live in an RV or camp over a weekend or a few days. In an RV, they've got some cute little cabins. Apparently, they've got some good fishing and great spots. So we're hoping to bring family back there eventually and share that beautiful place.
Yeah, has everything you'd want and more.
Yeah. And you may even get chased by a goose.
Yeah.
Well, until next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.